Alright, just closing things out from Lucky Chances. It's Saturday, the day before Super Bowl. Got here around 9:30, 9:45, a little bit past 1 o'clock right now, so just a fairly short session. And let's run through these hands. Alright, playing 7-handed in this first one. Under the gun and low jack limp. I limp along from the button with King 10 offsuit, small blind folds, and big blind checks. 4 ways to a flop of King 10-3, 2 suits. Checks to me, I bet $15 with top 2. Big blind calls, and the other 2 players fold. Heads up to a turn of a 6 of diamonds, putting up another flush draw. When he checks, it's a good spot to continue firing for value, so I bet $45. Big blind makes the call. And we go to a river of a 10 of spades, giving me the effect of nuts. When he checks, I'm going to go for a polarized sizing in the hopes that he was bluff catching with either a 10 or a weak king. It's a decent spot to bet large too, since all of the draws bricked. I fire $150. He tanks for a while and puts in the call. Good start to the session as I lock this one up with a full house. Hand immediately after, still 7-handed. Under the gun raises to $25. Low jack and hijack call. I call from the cutoff with ace-4 of clubs and the blinds fold. We go 4 ways to a flop of ace-8-5 with 2 hearts and a spade. Action checks to me, and I can bet sometimes primarily for equity denial, but my hand is more showdown driven, and if I bet and face a raise, I may end up folding the best hand, so I decide to check. We go to a turn of a 9 of spades, putting up backdoor spades to go along with front door hearts. It also completes 6-7. When it checks to me, it feels like a mandatory bet here, so I go for $50. Under the gun and low jack fold. Hijack makes the call. Heads up to a river of a 4 of hearts, so I make 2 pair. When he checks, I'm going to go for some more value. Board is a bit scary looking, but I feel like I would have heard from him if he had 6-7 or hearts on the turn. He's more likely weighted towards a showdown driven holding, such as ace-X or an inferior 2 pair, so I fire $100. He doesn't think too long and puts in the call. I table my hand, and it's good. In this next hand, hijack raises to $20. Button calls, and I'm in the big blind with queen jack of clubs. Both options on the table in terms of 3-betting or flatting. I opt for the latter, and we go 3 ways to a flop of queen 9-5, 2 spades and a club, so flop top pair with some backdoors. I check, and the other 2 players check as well. We go to a turn of a 10 of clubs, so it's a good card. I opt to check, hijack checks, and button puts out a small bet of $20. I'm pushing a ton of equity here, so I put in the check raise to $75. Hijack folds, and after some deliberation, button puts in a 3-bet to $150. So this is going to be value most of the time, since I cover a majority of the draws. He is playing roughly $600 back, and I could go for the aggressive play of putting in the 4-bet. But with my exact holding, I shift into equity realization mode and just make the call. We go to a river of a king of spades, so I make the straight. All options on the table once again. If I check and he has a value hand such as 2 pair, I'd expect him to check given straight and flush draws complete. If I bet, I think he's only raising with spades or a jack to try to push me off a chop, but he may also just sigh and call with 2 pair holdings, so I put out a block bet of $120. He's pretty displeased with the situation as he's tanking, so it should be 2 pair that he's holding, and after some deliberation, he decides to let it go. So I take down a 3rd hand in a row. A short while later, there's a hijack raise to $20. I call from the button with 10-8 of hearts, and the big blind calls as well. We go 3 ways to a flop of 10 deuce-deuce with 2 spades and a diamond. Action checks to me. I bet $35. Big blind calls and hijack folds. Turn comes a 3 of clubs. He checks, and I decide to exercise pot control and check back. River comes an 8 of spades, giving me an improved 2 pair. When he checks, I'm going to target a 10 that I most likely outdrew, and I bet $40. He pretty quickly makes the call. I table, and it's good. A few quick ones following this hand. I lost with queen 10 offsuit in a 3-way pot on a 5-4-4 board. I also lost with pocket deuces in a 5-way pot on a queen-queen 8 board. In another one, the under the gun raises to $15. Low jack calls. I'm in the hijack with 8-9 of hearts, and this is a hand that I'll 3-bet sometimes to mix it up so that I'm not always just 3-betting top end holdings. I make it $65, and both under the gun and low jack fold, so don't face any resistance here, but I'm sure a similar spot will come up down the road that'll be a bit more interesting. We've got a straddle pot in this next one, 7-handed. Cutoff posts $8 for missing the blinds. Under the gun raises to $35, and I'm next to act with pocket jacks. This player has been playing fairly snug just based on my observation, and combine the fact that he raised first to act in his straddle pot, I opt to just flat. Cutoff folds, button, big blind, and straddler call. And we go heavily multi-way to a flop of 9-9-4 rainbow. Checks to under the gun, who bets $55. I call, and the other 3 players drop out. Heads up to a turn of a 3 of diamonds. Under the gun continues the aggression for $110. I think it through for a bit and tell him that I'm going to make a tight laydown as I'm putting him on queens plus, and I open fold my pocket jacks. He was kind enough to show his hand, which was queen 9 of clubs for the flop trip, so my instincts were right on this one, feeling beat, but definitely did not put him on that holding. Shout out to Enrique in this hand, who was a gentleman that showed the hand. I appreciate both the chats throughout the session and confirming my suspicions on this hand. Now I can sleep without nightmares of Brad Owen in my head, telling me how to play pocket jiggities. Alright, just taking a quick break from the hands. 2 things were evident from the last video. 1, you guys seem to really like nut shots, which I can't blame you. And 2, judging by the number of comments that flowed through for the shirt giveaway, I'm convinced that just about everyone's got a bit of Asian in them. Joking aside, the last vlog was a lot of fun to put together, and I'm glad a lot of you enjoyed it. As promised, I'm doing a giveaway of 10 of these Lok It Up T-shirts. If you dropped a comment in the previous video, you're automatically entered to win one of these. All right, real quick, don't mind the pink chair, it's the girlfriend's. Shout out to Cindy and her good friend Allie. They're the ones that gave me the idea to use this web app. It's called Apps or Tales, that automatically pulls names from the comments in a YouTube video to randomly generate winners. So let's get to it. All right, we've got the web app opened up. First thing I'll do is I'll go into applications, select YouTube giveaway. I've got the video in the other tab. Gonna do a quick copy. Come back over to this page, paste it, click the start. It's gonna generate all of the numbers. Okay, so that captures all the comments in this video. Gonna hop into settings, select number of winners for 10. Gonna put in some substitutes as well, just in case. And do a countdown of 5, hit confirm, and let's make it happen.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, shout out to the following 10 winners: Andrew Fiorentino, Alfred Smith, A-Train77, DL, Freshhness, Amelia Goodyear, Snakethejake, Kevin Nguyen, which is actually my friend, Ehsan Tabari, and TOOTHBETOLD. So you guys are the lucky 10 winners. I do have a list of 10 alternates here. In the event that you don't want a t-shirt, no worries, just let me know, and that way I can get it to one of these alternate winners. Looks like the first one would be Aubrey Burke, and we'd go down the list from there, up to 10 different names, as you can see. All right, so that was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna list the winners in the description box below. Just send me an email at alokitup@gmail.com. and let me know your size and the best mailing info for you. I'll include all those details in the description box below as well. Thank you all for participating, continuing to support the efforts of this vlog, and let's get back to these hands. 7-handed, also a straddle pot with a dead 20. Low jack calls. I'm in the hijack with 8-9 of hearts, and I bump it up to $80, and I get calls from the big blind, straddler, and low jack. 4 ways to a flop of jack 8-4 with 2 spades and a heart. Checks to me, and I bet $160 primarily for denial. Big blind and straddler fold. Low jack makes the call. We go heads up to a turn of a 9 of diamonds, so I make 2 pair. Low jack checks, and it's a good spot to make a slight shift from denying to value betting. He's got $375 left. I jam. He pretty quickly calls. I tell him that I have 2 pair, and before the river runs out, he shows me pocket 4s for bottom set. So I need to improve going to the river, which comes a 6 of spades. So I get cooled off here, and I relinquish all of the profit that I made up to this point. But the positive was that it was against the same nice guy from the previous hand. Nice hand, Enrique. Fully 8-handed in this next one. I raise it to $20 from middle position with 10-9 of clubs. Hijack calls. And big blind puts in a rather large 3-bet to $120. We are playing around $900 deep, so it's a bit more shallow than I like to be, but I have to call expecting hijack to fold and getting to play this hand in position. I call, and hijack does fold. We go heads up to a flop of Jack 9-7 rainbow. He checks, and I could probably stab to deny, but I also have to be wary of a check raise against an overpair, so I check it back. Turn comes a queen of spades. He checks once more, and now I'm just trying to improve or get to showdown cheaply. I check it back. River comes a 10 of diamonds. It checks through once more. He gives it the head shake as though he doesn't have much. I table my hand, and it's good. Full ring once again. Middle position limps. Small blind completes. I'm in the big blind with ace-king offsuit, and I raise it to $25. Middle position calls, and small blind, who's a good young player named Howard, announces a donation to the vlog and makes the call as well. We go three ways to a flop of 7-5-5 with 2 spades and a diamond. Action checks through. Turn comes a jack of spades, completing the front door flush. When small blind bets $25, I can raise with a nut spade blocker or call and evaluate. I opt for the latter, and that brings in middle position as well. We go 3 ways to a river, which comes a 5 of clubs. When small blind checks, this river card kind of ends any opportunity to bluff at it, since I'm getting snapped by a jack or even a 7 for that matter, pretty much all day. I check, and middle position checks as well. Small blind tables king 4 of diamonds. I table my hand, and middle position mug. So I take this small pot down with ace king high.
That's interesting.
And this next one, cutoff raises to $20. I defend from the big blind with ace 5 of diamonds. And we go heads up to a flop of 10-4-3 with a couple of spades and a diamond. Action checks through. Turn comes an ace of clubs, so I make top pair. I check once more. He bets $25, and if this were a different card, such as a jack through 6, I would be more inclined to put in a check raise as a bluff, but obviously my hand is very much showdown driven here, so I make the call. And we go to a river of a 9 of diamonds. I check, he checks it back. I turn my hand over and take this one down. A couple more hands to run through. Small blind buys the button for $8. I'm in the under the gun position and raise it to $20 with ace jack of hearts, and I get calls from the cutoff and small blind. 3 ways to a flop of king 10-6 rainbow. Small blind checks. I bet $20 and both cutoff and small blind call. Turn comes an ace of diamonds. Small blind checks once more. I bet $80. Cutoff jams for $125 total. Folds back to me, and I gotta just make the call. We decide to table our hands before the river, and unfortunately he has a hand I did not expect to see. Pocket aces, so I'm drawing very slim. River comes a 9 of hearts, so I don't hit the 4 outer, and I double up the cutoff. Glad he didn't have more chips. Last hand to run through. Under the gun limps. Cutoff raises to $15. Button calls. I just flat from the small blind with queen 10 of spades, and under the gun calls as well. We got multi-way action to a flop of ace king 5, all black, so I make the nuts. Action checks through. Turn comes a 6 of clubs. I bet 1/3, $20. Under the gun folds, and cutoff puts in a welcomed raise to $80. Button folds, and I decide to get trappy and just call. River comes an 8 of diamonds, so that's a nice brick. I check to hopefully induce, but unfortunately he's smart enough to check it back. It would have been interesting to see if a block bet on the river would have induced him more. Nevertheless, it's always nice to make the nuts. Alright, so that wraps it up for this one. Got in the game for $900, didn't have to add on, cashed out $1,027, so book a modest profit of $127. At my peak, I was up around $600, and then that 8-9 hand happened against the bottom set. Ended up giving up pretty much all the profits that I garnered from the early beginnings of the session. Wasn't too disappointed though. Obviously, it's never fun to be on the wrong end of a cooler, but I didn't really earn those chips I got in the beginning. It was just a lot of easy hands that allowed me to accumulate the chips to begin with. I booked a small win, so happy with that, and going to continue to try to keep up the momentum. 2 wins in a row. Hope to do it again on the next one.